Tigercast fans, welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well. Now today, instead of talking specifically about Richmond, I wanted to talk more about the state of the game, which is a bit more of a broader topic, but it's on the back of Patrick Dangerfield's comments about wanting the game and the quarters shortened as well for the players, making comparisons to NBA and NFL and things like that. Firstly, this isn't a slag off Patrick Dangerfield video. We can save that for another time. This is more about the state of the game and the points that he made and probably some of the counter arguments against that. And I just feel like that sometimes the players and to another extent the AFL are often out of touch with what supporters actually want. But we keep getting fed this information that all these surveys keep taking place and it's what the fans want. But I don't know anyone who's been surveyed and been part of those numbers saying they want all these changes. But let me know if you have in the comments below if you've been surveyed and want all these changes sing out, because I've not heard of one person as of yet. But to get to the crux of the video, so Paddy Dangerfield had suggested shortening the quarters of the game. Now, at the moment, as it stands right now, we play 4 20-minute quarters and there's time on top of that. Look, sometimes there's games where I think undoubtedly it gets a little bit too long. I mean, some quarters in some games can go for 32 to 35 minutes, which does seem honestly ridiculous. It should never go that long, unless there's been an injury where we're talking about the stretcher coming out and taking all the right precautions. Totally understandable in that sense. But if there's been no injury or cause for major stoppage like that, it shouldn't really be getting past 25, 26 minutes, I don't think. So I think we can sharpen it up a little bit there. But in terms of the base level quarter length, we did try 16 minutes plus time on during COVID because they were obviously cramming a lot of games into multiple weeks. I personally didn't like the 16-minute quarters plus time on. It just felt way too short. I kind of felt like that teams didn't have enough chance or time to mount a comeback. It really sort of interrupted momentum in a lot of ways. I'm not sure how everyone else felt. Let me know in the comments below. How did you feel during the COVID footy period where it was 16 minutes? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Keen to hear what everyone's thoughts were there. 18 minutes is splitting the middle between what we have now and what we had at COVID. Maybe that's a consideration. Maybe that's something they try at Coates League level or VFL level and see how that pans out. But for me, and maybe for a lot of people, I think 20 minutes as the base level for your quarters is about right. Like, it seems fine. I think the problem lies within why do we accumulate so much time on? How do we shorten that piece? And I think that's where the focus should be, to bring back the length of the quarters. So I put out a bit of a tweet about this, and one of the main suggestions that came back, and it's one that I agree with as well, is removing the ruck nominations. I don't think many people like the ruck nomination rule as a principle, but we waste probably 3 to 5 seconds, it feels like, every time there's a stoppage with the umpires trying to look for the 2 tallest blokes in the park to see who's going to put their hand up to go up in the ruck. Why can't they just throw the ball up? Just blow your whistle, there's a stoppage, pick it up, make sure there's no one blocking your path behind you, that's fine, because for safety reasons, throw the ball up and get on with it. And I would actually go to the next level and say I would scrap the ruck nomination altogether, and I would let it be a free-for-all again, including being able to go third man up, as long as it's not impeding the two ruckmen. I just think tactically, having someone go third man up late in the game to smash the ball forward, to get it into space, to clear congestion, was a really good thing to see. It just added another element to the game. So I'm all for bringing that back personally, but I'm sure others may have differing views. But that to one side, if at a minimum the umpires just threw the ball up straight away and got on with it, that would save quite a few seconds, maybe minutes, over the course of a game. Score reviews was the other one that came back a lot in the comments, that they chew up a fair bit of time as well, which they 100% do. And there's always been a little bit of speculation that they've got to get their crypto sponsorship views in, they've got to hit a quota each game. Look, you want to do score reviews, you've got to get the right technology in place to do it. It just seems like the reason why it takes so long is because the technology is so shit. Like, you look at the goal line camera, and we've made jokes about this before, but it's partially serious too. It's almost the quality of a poor man's iPhone. Like, it's that grainy and that hard to tell sometimes that it makes you wonder how they are able to overturn some decisions conclusively anyway. So I just think if you're going to do that kind of a system, get it right, have the right technology, spend the coin, and do it properly, and it probably won't take as long. But as it stands right now, that it does drag on quite a bit. So that could be another area to look at as well. The third one that was raised, and it's been an interesting point that I've thought about myself as well along the journey, Could we save time by reducing the amount of time spent at boundary throw-ins? So we already have stoppages as one piece, like, ball ups around the ground where you're finding the ruckman. Then you've got the other element of boundary throw-ins. Now, if you look at the Sandful, which is one of the top flight leagues under the AFL, and AFLW do it as well, the last player the ball goes out on if it crosses the boundary line results in a free kick against, unless it's from a spoil or it's like, bobbling around and bouncing off people. If it's clear cut, it's just a free against and the other team just gets the kick straight away. And I felt for a little while that the AFL's sort of been subtly conditioning us for that anyway, with the strictness surrounding the deliberate out of bounds rule. I think it's basically in effect without officially being in effect. But maybe there's probably another level to go to by implementing it in its full totality, like what the Sandful and AFLW do. But could we save time there? Instead of throwing it in all the time, if it was a free kick and teams will probably play on from the free kick straight away more often than not to get the ball moving again. So you're saving time from the ball being passed back to the boundary umpire, finding the two rucks, making sure they're in position. They might be 20 metres away, and often we're waiting for the rucks to run to the next contest because the ball's moving so quick. So that would be probably one of the other bigger ones I reckon that we could do to save some time on the quarters. But keen to hear what you all think on that one. Let us know in the comments below. Are you happy with the time for the quarters? And have you got any other suggestions on how it could be fixed just to reduce it a little bit? I just reckon if we can have the total quarter length about 24 to 25 minutes, I think that's spot on. It's when it gets beyond that it can be a bit of a stretch. The other question as well to pose is the season itself. So with all the buys we've got in here now, as it stands right now, if you make the grand final, you're looking at about a 29-week season. I am all for going back to being very, very simple and just having a 23-week season with 22 games, one bye in the middle, 1 week off for the entire competition. None of this 3 teams in round 2, 4 teams in round 5, another 5 teams in round 12. Like, it's just utter chaos and confusion. And then you throw in the opening round as well, where half the teams are playing, half aren't. It just seems a little bit all over the shop. Like, I know the AFL are wanting to probably deliberately extend the season to have more coverage across more months of the year, because then they're in the face, there's more advertising revenue and things like that. It just seems a bit farcical, though. KISS method is always best. Keep it simple, stupid. Just have one bye and let it be done for. Then you head into finals time. I'm keen to hear everyone's thoughts on this part as well. As we have it right now, once we get to finals, there's a week off after the home and away season, and then we get stuck into finals, and you play all the way through. I don't mind it, but I would probably be more in favour if the bye was shifted to the grand final week instead of after the home and away season. And my reason for that is, I think it's probably more fair and reasonable to give the 2 grand final teams a bit more of extra rest to freshen up. Maybe it gives some players a chance who maybe had a concussion a couple of weeks earlier or a niggling injury to come back from to get back for the grand final. I think it's fair and reasonable to try and reward the 2 best teams of the year playing off on the biggest stage. It also would allow interstate supporters in interstate clubs a chance to maybe get down a bit earlier. They're not as rushed. They can settle in. They can actually enjoy the week, and we can create a whole atmosphere and festivities. I know we have a grand final parade and things like that, but yeah, it just might make things a little bit easier for supporters to get themselves sorted for that. And I just reckon that once the home and away season finishes, roll into finals. The top 4 have already got the advantage of the double chance. All that having that week off in the first week of finals does, and we've seen it plenty of times before, it just sometimes complicates round 23, players being rested and a whole raft of things, which is fine. I don't have an issue with coaches doing that because they're playing to the rules, and what they do with their team is whatever they want to do with their team. I just think we're better off rewarding the 2 teams in the grand final by giving them that bit more rest, so we can try and get the 2 best and fittest teams on the park as possible for a grand display. So, I look at the Richmond GWS grand final, for example, and we obviously smashed them out of the park, but they played about 3 players that should not have played. Phil Davis, I think Lockie Whitfield was another one, quite clearly injured and really hampered him. But it makes you wonder, if they had the week off and then played the grand final, would they have been a lot more fit and would have it been a bit of a tighter contest? Do we get a better spectacle out of it? I don't know. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. A few things to talk about there. But yeah, I just thought we'd do a state of the game video because it's fairly topical at the moment. But make sure you like and subscribe for more. We're heading towards 2,000 subs. I love and appreciate everyone's support, and we'll see you for the next video. Go Tigers!